Well, it's a very warm welcome and thank you for joining us on this independent off-tube studio commentary. Our referee, Marco Guida from Italy, had just about got the game underway, but now after a full start we are underway here at Old Trafford. Manchester United taking on FC Copenhagen. A slight delay, of course, after the tributes paid to Sir Bobby Charlton. Minutes applause after a wreath was brought onto the centre circle as well. But the game is underway now, and it was sure to be an emotional evening at Old Trafford. But at the same time, it's a big game here for Manchester United. They need a win here against Copenhagen, and they'll feel as though they're favourites to take all 3 points. It's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz and Ben White taking the action. Ben, the players have just got to look past the emotional side and just get on with it, because it's a big game for them this evening.
Oh, absolutely. You've got to look beyond what has happened off the pitch, and I suppose the pressure remains on the pitch as well. It seems that in the early stages of any season, Manchester United can't go without the media saying they've got a mini crisis going on. That as much has been apparent in recent campaigns, and it could be the case in this year. I mean, you're looking at the Champions League group stage, and whilst they did have the tough away game in the first match day against Bayern Munich, it was that defeat at Old Trafford in the previous against Galatasaray that maybe started to panic the Red Devils even more. But going into when the group was drawn, you would suggest this is a game on paper that would be the easiest out of the 6 they will play, and yet you're looking that they are bottom of the group. The points really do have to start coming from somewhere, and given that you are at home against Copenhagen, who, whilst they do have a point and they are one ahead of Manchester United, they are away at Old Trafford, they'll, you would assume, be a bit more defensive, although they're trying to get on the press there with Diogo Goncalves on that far side. But it's on Manchester United to get the result in this encounter.
It certainly is, and that's something that United need to try and embrace, rather than seeing it as pressure, which of course undoubtedly they will do. But they've just got to try and get hold of the ball and to do what they can to make sure that Copenhagen are second best. But as you mentioned, they are trying to start brightly here, the visitors, and they are pushing forward now here in midfield. The ball drops here to Elias Sachuri, who tries an effort from 30 yards out, and it was swerving away from goal. He's appealing that there should be a corner kick there as well. I didn't see a save from Onana, unless it's got a slight nick as Churi has hit this. Just see from the replay, has Onana got fingertips to this? I think he has. I don't think he needs to. It's going a long way wide. That's why I assumed he never saved it, but it's going to be a corner.
Yeah, it's a corner out of nothing, really, because it's a pot shot. Why not test Onana? I mean, he's been really shaky in his early career at United, and as you say, he shouldn't make that save at all. It's a good 2 yards wide of the mark. Must have got his bearings wrong, but now he's got to be careful because there will be an in-swinging corner from the visitors.
Absolutely, he's going to be coming in here from the left-hand side, in-swinging from Goncalves. It drops to the edge of the area, strike coming in, it deflects up in the air, it's still bouncing at the edge of the 6-yard box. There's a slight bit of contact there from Achuri. It looks like he's hit the back of Bruno Fernandes there, and that's enough for our referee Marco Guida to give the free kick to United. Just remind you the two teams, it is Andre Onana in goal for United, a back four of Diogo Dalot, Rafael Varane, Harry Maguire and Sergio Reguilon. The two holding midfielders are Sofian Amrabat and Scott McTominay. The three ahead of them are Anthony, Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford, with Rasmus Hojlund as the front man. For Copenhagen, it is Kamil Grabara in goal, a back four of Peter Ankersen, Dennis Vavro, Kevin Dirks and Elias Gellert. The three in midfield are Lucas Liraga, Rasmus Falk and Diogo Goncalves, with Mohamed Elianoussi, Elias Achuri and Victor Kliassen as the attacking three. The ball now played back towards the edge of the Copenhagen penalty area. Grabara, the goalkeeper, being closed down, taking a little bit too long there. That gave some encouragement there to Hojlund to close him down. He wasn't too far away from getting a touch on that. Just to remind you, in the earlier games today, in this group, Galatasaray lost 3-1 at home to Bayern Munich, and the other early kick-off this evening saw Inter Milan beat Salzburg by 2-1. No goals in the 8 o'clock kick-off so far in the Champions League. Maguire being closed down here by Elianoussi, played back towards Onana, who's just telling his teammates to calm down. It's not been a particularly nervy start from United, but they probably would have liked to have seen a little bit more of the ball after 4 minutes. Bruno Fernandes in a slightly deeper position over towards the right-hand side. It's good news for United that Varane is coming back into the team. They have had a few injuries this season as well. Long ball now over towards the left-hand side, headed on, but just a little bit too much there on that header. And it's away for a goal kick. But certainly, as you mentioned, it's been a difficult start for United. They have been under pressure. The results haven't been good. I mean, in the league, you know, the few wins they have had in the Premier League, I suppose the win away to Sheffield United at the weekend was quite a comfortable one. But the win against Brentford needed 2 goals in injury time. The win against Wolves in the opening weekend had a lot of controversy with the penalty that Wolves never got. And United didn't play particularly well in that game either. But they've got a chance here now as the ball gets towards the edge of the area. McTominay was pushing forward. Hojlund tried to lay the ball ball off to him. Amrabat now caught in possession, and all of a sudden it could be a counter-attack here. Elyounoussi breaking past Maguire, breaking past Amrabat, and he's off down the right-hand side. He's got two waiting at the edge of the area, puts a cross in, which could drop it to Goncalves, who hits it. It's off the post, potentially a rebound here. Kliassen can't get the shot away. Elyounoussi gets the strike, it deflects, and it's away for a corner kick. But Copenhagen so close to taking the lead there. And what will worry United was that Amrabat and Maguire both really should have stopped Elyounoussi.
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, you're looking at Maguire on the halfway line who tries to play a ball forward, and Elyounoussi just reads it well. He's trying to find Reguilon on that far side, and all of a sudden they're out of position. Amrabat is scrambling back, and there's a ball towards the back post. And Diogo Goncalves, I think it's a decent finish. But unfortunately to hit the post, the threat is still alive, and then it ricochets out for a corner. You said that United will have been wanting to have a bit more control in the game. They certainly haven't had that in the last 2 minutes.
No, they're struggling here again. It's Goncalves' ball. It's a low ball. It's headed at the near post by Kevin Dix. It goes out for another corner kick. A couple of Copenhagen players with their hands up there. I think that was just to make sure they got the corner. I don't think there was any suggestion there was an arm out there. But Goncalves still in that corner. Another outswinger from him. A good header, though, from Bruno Fernandes. Captain leading by example there. Had that a long way away from his penalty area. It's back on the halfway line now. Grabara in the face mask there. The Polish keeper. I mean, a long way out from his goal. Being closed down here by Anthony. But he plays a ball up towards the right-hand side. Headed on there by Reguilon. He hits the deck. No foul, though. And it's another chance here for Copenhagen down the right-hand side. Elyounoussi being closed down by Bruno Fernandes. Playing this back towards Ankersen. Elyounoussi ball doesn't find Ankersen the first time, but they're growing in confidence here, Copenhagen. They started by pressing in the first couple of minutes. They're starting to actually see a bit more of the ball now. And United are chasing shadows in this last minute or two. It's Elyounoussi back over towards Ankersen. This is all on the right-hand side for Copenhagen. Now played back towards Rasmus Falk. And on the halfway line, Dix now back towards Vavro. But if you could have timeouts in football, I think that potentially Ten Hag might be asking for one here just to get his players in, just to give them a little refresh, because it's just not working for them at the moment.
No, it really isn't. In the games that I've covered on this service with Manchester United, they have been quite slow to start games. And then you look at the results, as you've said, in the league, they are getting victories over the line now. But all 5 wins that they've had have been by a goal margin. So even if they do get going in a game, they can never really seal the deal. But the visitors have really started strong. They're on the edge of the area now. Flick on, and I think Klassen is onside if he can keep it in. The cross is blocked. It will go out for a throw-in just past the corner flag, deep in United territory. But it's completely shifted. I mean, you're looking at the first minute. I mean, that's not exactly a good barometer to go for a whole game. But United look relatively comfortable. And then the bit of pressing from the visitors. Now they've had a bit of sustained pressure. And now United are on the back foot.
They are. They've hardly had any kind of possession at all, United, let alone attacking possession, really. And throw-on taken short. Might just get through towards Leraga. He's tried to play it back towards his teammate there, Ankersen. It's cleared. Doesn't get very far, though. Elyounoussi still keeps the move alive here for Copenhagen down the right-hand side, back towards the halfway line. It's Dennis Vavro now. Him and Kevin Dix, the two centre-backs, just exchanging a couple of passes. It's back over with Elias Yellert now on the left-hand side. But more space here now for Copenhagen. They're trying down the left for the first time, and Goncalves just trying to do a little bit too much. It's good work there from Anthony to get a foot in, and then a strong challenge there from Yellert to put the ball out for a throw. Manchester United at least can breathe now. They can take this throw on and try and get a bit of possession, get a bit of a stranglehold of the game. It's back at the edge of the area now with Harry Maguire. Slowly playing out from the back here, Maguire. See that Copenhagen are trying to play a high offside line. You know, United are only about 10 yards away from the edge of the centre circle. They've gone back a little bit deeper now, actually, but Copenhagen are pushing as high as they can, trying to negate any kind of a quick ball to pick out Rashford or Anthony. There is Rashford, one of his first touches of the ball, back towards Maguire. Just looking across, no other goals to tell you about in the Champions League. Some early goals in the Championship. It's Huddersfield 0, Cardiff 2. Millwall 1, Blackburn 1. The only goals in the Championship so far. There's also a delayed kick-off at the Hawthorns between West Brom and QPR. I'm not quite sure what's happened there, but that game was due to kick off at 8. It's still due to start. In the meantime, here come United now with a bit of space down the left. McTominay finding Rashford. He gets to the edge of the area. He's got a couple of options, but he runs straight into Peter Ankersen, and it's out for a throw, United. But at least they're getting closer to the box.
Yeah, they are. I can't remember the last time they tried to get to the final third of the visitors, but they have done now with Rashford, who's so direct on that far side. I mean, last season you're looking at his numbers, and that's more up because he was playing down the middle, and yet when you sign a player like Rasmus Hojlund, you're back to your maybe more natural position in his early years at United with that left flank role, and that's where he is playing this evening, and he's trying to test Ankersen on that far side, as you said. At least they're testing the defence now, and they're getting a bit more possession with Reguilon coming forward.
There is Reguilon now back in the team after a period out injured towards Rashford. Bruno Fernandes, though, with his back to goal, having to go even further back towards Sofian Amrabat on the halfway line. Varane now trying a diagonal ball to pick out Reguilon. It's a good ball as well. Takes a touch, trying to get across it, being closed down by Ankerson, just exchanging a pass with Rashford before it goes back towards Amrabat. United about 40 yards out from goal now. Varane pushing forward like he likes to do. Square to Diogo Dalot. Scored the winner for United, and a great winner it was at Bramall Lane at the weekend. Played back now towards Andre Onana. Well, United never got into the box, but they won't mind that too much. The point is that they've managed to exchange 15-20 passes without the visitors taking the ball off them, which is already an improvement on the first 7 or 8 minutes. Back now with Varane. Over towards the right-hand side for Anthony, being closed down, but he does well to find Bruno Fernandes. He skips away from one challenge and then plays it square to Reguilon. It's down towards Rashford, who tried to get past Ankerson to then start a move with Reguilon, but then Ankerson takes the ball off him. Rashford takes it straight back, no foul either way, and Rashford is off now down the left-hand side. He skips past one player, and he's trying to draw the foul, which referee Marco Guida is not having. I think Rashford was just assuming that he would run into his opponent and say that his path was blocked, but the referee disagrees.
Yeah, I think Laraga, the number 12, who's gone over there, after all, you said that Ankerson is trying to bomb down that far wing. And he's just possessed by Rashford, so he's out of position. You've got the midfielders trying to cover, and then there's just a bit of strength, I suppose. I think there was an argument either way there for a foul or not, and ultimately the referee decided against it. Goal kick for Copenhagen, and they've gone long.
Clearance here from Grabara. United get the ball back after a header, and it's McTominay leaving it here for Hojlund. Hojlund then going back towards Anthony. Skips past 2 players, but won't skip past the third. That is out for a throw to Copenhagen now down the left-hand side. So when you think of all the problems that Ten Hag's had to deal with this season, the long-running saga of Sancho, then the new problems with Anthony, the fact that the side aren't playing too well, all kinds of other questions in relation to that. Then there's the talk of the takeover that didn't happen, and now a minority shareholding now being arranged and everything else, and all of that is just a distraction from what should be happening on the pitch, really, for Ten Hag.
Oh no, definitely, and given that he is the manager, I mean, when you look at football managers, you think that really their sole responsibility is to take care of the players on the pitch, but really, I mean, you look at managers in different professions, and now he's getting an experience for that, as you say, with the off the pitch issues with some players, and then with the pressure of not getting results over the line. I mean, last season was a success for them. They got some silverware, long-awaited silverware at that, and there's been further money invested in this summer window just gone. But the issues still lie there. Copenhagen just trying a long field ball now.
They are, and it's Churi trying to keep it in play here. The final touch was off the Churi in the end. Diogo Dalot did well there just to get in his way, and there wasn't enough bounce on there for that to go out for a corner. Churi tried to turn it himself, and he wasn't able to do it. I mean, Ten Hag's been compared to a politician recently, the way that he's had to dodge the same question over and over again, but it is because he's sick and tired of being asked the same questions all the time, when really he has no influence over some of those subjects.
Oh, absolutely, and then really, how much does a manager want to disclose with their players? I mean, really, when you think of managers, one of their main rules is try and protect the players, and anything you can say in the media can be twisted, anything that Ten Hag would say, that is, which is probably one of the reasons why he wants to refuse these answers. But as you say, they're quite repetitive as well, and the main thing for Ten Hag is to get these results over the line. Did that go out of play? I think it did on the far side.
Yeah,
Gillers was a bit trying to con the referee there, but it's a good yard or two out. But yeah, for Ten Hag, as you say, I think really the only way they can get beyond this is with some wins, and they really do need one in the Champions League this evening. They
absolutely do. A win today would certainly take the heat off, and as I say, the issue with Sancho, I think most sort of pundits and fans would agree that probably Sancho is more in the wrong than Ten Hag, really. Manager's got to try and expect the most from his players, although perhaps some of the comments were a little bit harsh, but that's the way that Ten Hag is. In the meantime, it's a good bit of work here from Kliassen. Skips away from 2 United players, and he finds Elyounoussi down the right-hand side. This player's arriving in the box as well. It misses Kliassen, the ball in from Elyounoussi. Still a chance at the edge of the area, flicked on by Rasmus Hojlund, but then the loose ball is picked up here by Varane, who hits the deck. He wasn't fouled. Referee was almost stood over that, and he was happy with it. It's now with Churi down the left. He skips away from Bruno Fernandes, does well, and then puts a cross in, which is headed away by Dalot, but Copenhagen quickly recycle it at the edge of the area. It's still very much a spring in the step with the visitors here. Got our first goal in the Champions League as well to tell you about. Braga 0, Real Madrid 1. Confirm the goal scorer in just a moment, but in the meantime, plenty of possession here for Copenhagen. They've had to go back towards the halfway line, but still a decent pace to what they're doing. It's Goncalves now. That's left by Elyounoussi. A cross coming in here from Ankerson. It takes a deflection. It's caught by Onana, but he's clearly out of play when he does so. And so, after a little bit of a bright spell for United, Copenhagen going back to what they've been doing since the start of the match.
Yeah, both teams are exchanging blows, aren't they? And now, as you say, it's the visitors' turn. I've been really impressed with their start, I have to say. And now they've got a chance to get the defenders from the back. Some crosses have been quite teasing, and they have missed a few defenders and attackers, albeit, but now they can get another chance with a dead ball. And as you say, you got Lerege, Vavro, Dix, Klaassen. There's a lot of height in there to try and test the defence.
They have. The balls in previously have been out. Swingers are going to try the same again here with Goncalves from the right-hand side. He pitches this one up a lot higher, though, aiming at that tall player, Vavro. It's not quite reached him, but they should still be recycled in by a Churi on the left-hand side. It's got Hojlund for company. Tries to get away from him. Hojlund's not taking no for an answer, but then it's played back towards the halfway line. Still in possession here at Copenhagen. Back over towards the right here for Ankerson. And he's being closed down, so he goes back to Grabara, who's more of a quarterback here. He's come a long way out from his penalty area. The goalkeeper playing it down the middle here, looking for Goncalves. Strong jump there from Diogo Dalot. There is a ball in midfield which McTominay almost lost, but he does recover. And it's Reguilon now up towards Bruno Fernandes on the halfway line. Back to Sergio Reguilon. And again, Copenhagen back in numbers. There's no easy way forward for United. Having to go back towards the halfway line here. Amrabat now. Finding some space for Anthony down the right-hand side. Being closed down by Yellert and Churi. Back to Diogo Dalot. But you can see as well, we've had 15 minutes on the nearly 16 now. It's Manchester United 0, Copenhagen 0. But based on what we've seen so far, they might have. Well, just as I say that, there is a lovely ball played towards Hojlund, who goes for the top corner. It's just over the bar. I was going to say that United need to try something a little bit more inventive just to try and surprise Copenhagen, and I didn't get a chance to finish those words because they did exactly that. It was a great ball from Rashford. It's actually a decent touch from Hojlund to play it into space for himself, but then the angle was always against him, really.
Yeah, and I think when we were going to start the discussion, I would have made the point that United, they haven't really had a shot yet. The only chance coming in the way of Copenhagen when they hit the post from Goncalves, but then Hojlund, he finally finds a bit of space with the ball. And you mentioned they had to try something different. It was a bit more direct, wasn't it? It was a decent first touch from Hojlund, but it was then what followed to try and get the ball out of his feet, and it was decent power on it to try and catch out Grabara at his near post, but too much height on it in the end. It's something from United. It has taken a quarter of an hour for them to get a shot and test the Copenhagen goalkeeper, but it could be a sign of things to come. But the visitors have just earned a free kick because Hojlund, who just had that shot at goal, has committed a foul.
He has, yes, and this cues us up nicely just as Hojlund committed that foul. The camera pans to the younger Hojlund, 18-year-old, who is, of course, on the bench this evening for Copenhagen, younger brother of Rasmus. Saw that before the game that Oscar Hojlund is on the bench as well. And as I say, it'd be quite something if he could get on the pitch this evening to have both Hojlund brothers on the pitch, one for United, one for Copenhagen. That would certainly make the family very, very proud. But that's an interesting stat, isn't it? After 17 minutes, 5 efforts already from Copenhagen. Only one of them was on target. And of course, there was one that hit the post, which very nearly went in as well. But United, just that one effort off target. So they need to try and step that up, really. Copenhagen still trying to play out from the back here, despite more and more United players pressing forward. And a heavy touch there as well from Dix. That gave a bit of encouragement there to Hojlund. He's had to go back towards Grabara. On clearance now up towards the halfway line, headed on by Varane. And then a strong header from Harry Maguire. The ball very nearly getting through towards Elyounoussi, but now it's Anthony trying to take on Yellert for pace, and he beats him for pace. He's off down the right-hand side, but Yellert won't take no for an answer, and it's out for a throw to United down the right-hand side. Yeah,
and you just see Nancy's reaction with the ball there. They want to get the ball back in play. Maybe he's getting a sense that they're grabbing into the game. He's finally getting back into the squad, isn't he, Anthony, as you said? But he hasn't been on the ball enough. He's always a winger that will hug the touchline and try and take on his man, but that hasn't really been the case so far. Copenhagen managing to limit the space in between the lines, but Dalot will whip the ball in. It'll deflect the way of Hojlund, but I think the visitors just got a crucial touch, and it might have been Dix, the centre-back, and they can clear it. But I can't really remember another delivery like that United have made in this game so far.
Well, they've not had the ball close enough to the box, really, have they, to have that chance? But they're trying here again now. Dalot stayed up on that right-hand side. He gets past Yellert, and then he plays a lighter ball this time across the 6-yard box. There was one there for Hojlund to attack, but it's Dix with the header out, and it's out for a corner. Just to confirm, that goal for Real Madrid was scored by Rodrigo with the assist from Vinicius Junior. That's quite a deadly duo, the two young Brazilians there, but they take the lead away at Braga. No other goals in the Champions League so far this evening in the 8 o'clock kickoffs. Up to 19 minutes gone here at Old Trafford, and it's Manchester United's first corner kick of the game. It's going to be a right-footed outswinger from Bruno Fernandes. plenty to aim at, but there's only one player inside the 6-yard box. There's about 5 waiting at the edge of there. They're going to start advancing now. It's played towards Maguire, headed up in the air, drops towards Jury, who can go on a counter, but that's a good challenge. Amrabat wins the ball and then lays it off to Anthony, who then finds Rashford on the left-hand side. Back to Anthony, left-footed cross, gets a deflection, almost found its man, but on this occasion it's Ankerson who can clear it, and it's just a clearance. Didn't even look up to see where a teammate was. He was just quite happy to play this down the middle. It's Manchester United now back in possession. Here is Amrabat to Raphael Varane. Across towards Harry Maguire. Copenhagen still trying to play as high an offside line as they can. United have got to have the ball in the centre circle, but the furthest defender for Copenhagen is still about 25 yards from goal, maybe even 30 yards from goal now, so they really have condensed their half of the pitch.
They have, and as we've already highlighted, this game has arrived in pockets with both teams taking turns almost to try and defend and then attack. Now it's for the visitors to try and defend. As we said, got everyone behind the ball at the moment. United still just passing it really around the halfway line, trying to find these areas to penetrate, trying wide now with Dalot, but they're working well now, Copenhagen. They've shown what they can bring in an attacking sense, but now they are trying to frustrate United in a defensive way.
They are, and at least United have more of the ball now, but they're still not finding it easy to test the goalkeeper. Just that one effort off target so far from Hojlund. Played back towards Varane now, still closer to the halfway line than he is to the Copenhagen penalty area. Now Rashford gets the ball from Bruno Fernandes down the left. Rashford trying to find space for the shot himself. He will go for goal. It's an effort on target, but it's a tame one really. Grabara sees that all the way and makes a comfortable save. Yeah,
we all know he can do better there, Rashford. It's that kind of area for him as well, where he cuts inside on the right foot, but he just can't get the contact. Bruno Fernandes just trying to put some pressure on Rasmus Falk there as they take the goal kick short. It's a bit more of a Spring United step now, as that wasn't really through any pressure either. You're looking at Ankerson on the far side, who miscontrols the pass from Vavro. It could just bring maybe a bit more atmosphere inside Old Trafford. It was a slow start for them. As the minutes tick by, maybe they're looking towards being the team more on top now, but as the statistics showed about 5 or so minutes ago, the majority of the shots have come in the way of the Danish side.
They have indeed, yes. I was about to tell you about a goal in Berlin. Union Berlin had taken the lead against Napoli through Robin Gosens, but that goal has been disallowed for offside, so it's still goalless there. But absolutely, for all the possession that United have had in the last few minutes, no shots to speak of in that particular passage of play. The effort from Hojlund came a few minutes before that, and despite having a corner kick and a bit of possession in the last minute or so, they've still struggled to get anything in front of Kamil Grabara. There's going to be a free kick here to it's a free kick to Copenhagen, although it's the Manchester United man Diogo Dalot who's a bit worse for wear, just picking himself up now. Referee Marco Guida just checking that everything is okay with him, and we're seeing Jakob Niestrup, the Copenhagen manager, just calling over Rasmus Falk, probably the midfielder we've seen the least of in terms of possession. That makes me think that he's probably the one there doing all the defensive midfield work. Perhaps just getting a little bit of a hint there from his manager, because things are just starting to get a little bit more on top now for Copenhagen, as Dennis Vavro plays a long ball towards the edge of the area. That's not going to do much against Maguire and Varane. Easy header there for Harry Maguire. It's Rashford now down the left, still deep in his own half, up to Sergio Reguilon. That's a really poor ball, easily cut out by Falk, and Copenhagen have possession back, and that's good play from Kliasen. I thought he would deserve the free kick there. He turned his man and then got brought down, but the referee was close enough and felt as though there was no foul. Now United can go on the counter as Jellert's been sold one there by Anthony, and a ball in from Hojlund. Coming into the penalty area, it's a back heel from Rasmus Hojlund, and there was a chance either for Anthony or indeed for McTominay to get a shot away. The challenge comes in. United want a corner kick. I'm not sure they're going to get it though, but that was a bit better from United.
It was. I think Ankerson, he's either put off Hojlund when he tries to strike a goal, or he's got a touch on it and then it's back off the Danish striker, and that's why there's no corner given. But it looked very controversial at the other end of the pitch, where I think it was Amrabat made the challenge. I thought it was a foul too, I have to agree with you, but then United, it was a quick counter, wasn't it? Lovely back heel from Hojlund. It's McTominay, I should say, who's making the run in. Ankerson does get the first touch. He comes back off the Scotsman, flies over the crossbar, but a quick attack, a lot more direct there from United, but it's a crucial interception, one that needed to be made, because you're looking at a midfielder in McTominay, who used to be a striker, of course, who looks to find the back of the net.
He does, yeah. He's proved that on more than one occasion, scoring some big goals for United. But we're past the halfway mark here in this first half. We're 23 and a half minutes gone. It is Manchester United or Copenhagen, and it will be Ben to take us through to half-time.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Yeah, certainly seeing more from Manchester United now going forward at the very least. A good opportunity on that counter, nearly pounced on by Scott McTominay, who really is in a rich vein of goal-scoring form, both for club and country for that matter. Flying high for Scotland, a big part of Steve Clarke's side that managed to get them to Germany 2024 for the next summer. But for United, he is finding those goals as well. But now the visitors' turn to try and dominate the possession amongst their defence. Yeller, the left back, trying to come forward now towards Ashuri. There's been some quick moments, quick feet from him, I should say, from what we've seen in the opening 25 minutes so far. But he is dispossessed, so United can bring the ball back. They are desperate for their first win, their first points, in fact, in this season's Champions League group stage. Their woes in this competition actually extend until the previous campaign, where they haven't won in 5 matches, 2 draws and 3 defeats for that matter. But the struggles are the same really for FC Copenhagen. They haven't won any of the last 6 Champions League group stage games, home or away, but they really have thrown a weight around in the Old Trafford turf this evening so far. Raphael Varane just inside the centre circle after receiving the ball from Harry Maguire. 1-2 between both the Frenchman and Sofiane Amrabat. Now a nutmeg from Varane. He has to be careful because there was the willing press of Mohamed El Yanoussi, who already has managed to punish Harry Maguire on one occasion when the break arrived for the visitors, and a counter nearly punished the Red Devils. It was a shot from Diogo Goncalves inside the area that hit the post. It's the biggest opportunity by the way of Copenhagen. As for United, no such big opportunity for them as of yet. But what can Rasmus Hojlund do as he drops deep from a short ball by Rafa Varane? In the end, he opts to go back. I just said, Paul, there's been very few goals so far in the evening. Kickoffs, still only the one for Rodrigo Goes, the Brazilian winger for Real Madrid, away from home against Braga. All the other games, Benfica, Real Sociedad, Lens against PSV Eindhoven, Man United, Copenhagen, of course, in this fixture. Sevilla, Arsenal, Union Berlin, Napoli, all goalless as it stands. Rumours of a goal, as I just say that, in Lisbon for Real Sociedad, but we will bring confirmation if that arrives. Now, some possession for Copenhagen with Dix at the back, trying to get inside the Manchester United defensive half. Gets it back from his defensive partner in Yeller. It's Anthony trying to apply some pressure, but the game has certainly slowed down in the last 2 or 3 minutes, hasn't it, Paul? I mean, you're looking at, there haven't been really few big opportunities for that matter, but there's been a level of intensity from both teams in pockets. Perhaps we're not seeing a slow to it.
No, it's just, it's one of those games that United started nervously and Copenhagen almost couldn't believe how nervous United were, so they started to grow into the game. Now United have responded a bit and Copenhagen are sort of trying to respond by having some slow possession themselves just to frustrate United. So it has just led to a little bit of a lull in this game, but I think there's enough about that good spell for United to encourage them that Copenhagen can be got at.
There's been 3 prior head-to-heads in the Champions League between these two sides. When they were last in the group stage together in 2006, there was a win apiece for when they both appeared at home, and then Manchester United during the COVID era won in fact it was in your competition because it was a Europa League quarter-final that they won. It was a one-legged affair during that time, but they did win that one, so they do arrive at a superior head-to-head record over the Danes, but no real sign as of yet that they could break the deadlock. Goals have been a bit of a concern for them, only 2 in this group stage, and then as for the Premier League, the 8 so far this season, they really have struggled to find the back of the net. Here's El Yanoussi now, shepherded off the ball in the end by Harry Maguire, who will receive the ball again off McTominay. Plenty of red shirts in defence to try and prevent that Copenhagen attack. It's gone long now towards Rasmus Hojlund, formerly of FC Copenhagen, but there's still familial ties between both he and the Danish club. As you said, Oscar Hojlund, the 18-year-old, his younger brother, is on the bench this evening. Interesting to see if he will make an appearance, but Hojlund has certainly started strong in his United career, particularly in the Champions League. He's had 3 goals in his 2 appearances so far. He's always going to be the danger man if he leads the line for United. They've been desperately searching for a striker over the last few years. It's been a good start to his career, but he hasn't managed to really get in the game as of yet, apart from that strike over the bar.
No, he hasn't really had the service, has he? I mean, the way that United have had the possession, he's not really been able to get on the end of too much. He did try to get that shot away early when he did get the pass from Rashford, and there was a nice bit of link-up play there when there was almost a shot for Anthony after the back heel, or for McTominay, I should say. So there have been a couple of bright sparks for him. I think it's big pressure to arrive at Old Trafford and be expected to be that number 9, particularly when he's still sort of learning his trade as quite a young striker.
Now with Bruno Fernandes, really playing deep this evening, I have to say. I mean, he adorns the captain's armband and will always sit deep and spray those long balls, but we haven't seen any of that as of yet from the Portuguese midfielder. He will receive it again inside his own half from Harry Maguire. Now he will go long down the line, looking for Marcus Rashford, who was hoping the bounce would evade Ankerson, but he can chest it down and then immediately gives the ball away. It'll be picked up by the Moroccan Sofiane Amrabat now towards Diogo Dalot. Further wide for Anthony, a chance for him to run at Yeller. He's got Dalot on the outside, McTominay and Hojlund on the inside. It will find the United number 11. Now Diogo Dalot, crossing opportunity of him on this near flank. He goes back though towards Varane. A bit of a heavy ball after some pressure from Ashuri, who gets back for the visiting side. Everyone behind the ball for Copenhagen as it stands, and the attack comes to nothing in the end for Manchester United. They'll recycle it all the way back to the halfway line as we approach the half-hour mark. Independent Offshoot Studio commentary, Manchester United 0, Copenhagen 0. Still in this tie. It seems that the goal for Real Sociedad was chalked off in the end away from home against Benfica. So still the only goal is for Real Madrid in this match day 3 of the Champions League group stage. Harry Maguire inside his own half, lofts it to the right flank looking for Anthony, but he hasn't got enough height to beat Yellert in the air. The number 19 fullback will run away with it, still under pressure from Anthony S. Good play from the Brazilian, who puts off the Danish fullback. Out for a throw-in for United deep inside FC Copenhagen's half. Now McTominay having to drop deep. But I did highlight earlier in the game that United do start games slower. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because when you're at home, and as you say, they've had their struggles this season, there's been an immense weight of pressure on them. They've now just given away a cheap throw-in inside their own half, and Copenhagen will look to take it quickly. But there's always a reason for starting games slower, perhaps, and given the positive start that the visiting side have, there was a bit more reservation to United, wasn't there?
There was, yeah. You could almost tell that they were a little bit sort of surprised at how quickly Copenhagen sort of sensed the fact that United were a little bit slow to start. Although, having said that, any scouting report, as you mentioned as well, Ben, any scouting report should tell United's opposition that they are a slow starting team this season. They've not had too many bright starts in games. They've often had to recover. I mean, as I say, we mentioned the game against Brentford. Let's not forget they were 2 down at home to Nottingham Forest before they had to reverse that to a 3-2 win. So there is a positive in that they can actually summon up the power to get into a game and actually turn a result around. But if you're going to do that every week, at some point you're going to come unstuck. So ideally, Ten Hag would want his side to just be a little bit more positive from the very start. But again, this lull is lasting a little while in this game now. United can't really disrupt the fact that Copenhagen are having a lot of slow possession, but then for that same, the Danes are struggling to get forward themselves.
Yeah, and then it was a poor giveaway in the end from El Yunusi. It was a good chance for Klaassen to receive the ball with his back to goal. Now United can try and punish them for that. It's with McTominay, edge of the area. He's dispossessed from behind, but the ball will remain at United's feet, and then a long ball over the top from Bruno Fernandes goes out for a goal kick. A real wasteful opportunity again. As you mentioned there, Paul, that none of their wins this season have been all too convincing. The 5 that they've earned in the Premier League this campaign have all been by a 1-goal margin, many of which they have had to come from behind. And on the topic of scout reports, I suppose that when the balls are drawn out of the pot for the group stage, that's when the homework immediately starts. But for Copenhagen, they will have looked at the United's performance in their previous home match against Galatasaray and saw the opportunities to try and exploit the Red Devils. I know that maybe one of the pivotal moments in that game was the Casemiro straight red, and that's the reason why he's not playing this evening, suspended, and that's when Galatasaray went on to win the game. But I mean, you're looking at those type of performances from United, and managers like Jacob Niestrup will look at them and think that if on paper you arrive as the theoretical underdogs, there's every reason to try and get some points.
Well, there is, and that's exactly what I think that Copenhagen have to think, that they're going to obviously get against Bayern Munich is going to be very difficult to do anything in either game, and the fact they've only got 1 point so far after 3 means that they have struggled against other sides. So if they're going to do something in this group, it's got to be sort of now or never for them to pick up points as well.
As you mentioned, the other results in this group in the early kick-off was Galatasaray 1, Bayern Munich 3. So the Bavarian side do lead the group on 9 points, 3 wins from 3. Galatasaray as it stands on 4. If it does remain this way, goalless, or at least a point for both sides in this fixture, then Copenhagen will remain in third on 2 points. United would be in last on 1. They do need the wins if they want to try and get in that in those top 2 positions. Maybe Bayern Munich are already running away with the group, but United 3 times Champions League winners. Of course, the late Bobby Charlton was the one to earn them their very first back in 1968-1969. The first of 3, but it's been a long while since United have threatened opposition to try and lift the Big Ears Cup since. The last one being back in 2008. But they do need some wins desperately if they want to get through to the knockout rounds. Now with Vavro at the back for Copenhagen towards his centre-back partner Index, Hojlund has to apply some pressure to get his side moving further up the field. Pass blocked from Reguilon as El Yunusi tried to get it around the corner. It will just bobble out for a throw-in towards the halfway line. The slow pace just continuing really in this tie. You would suggest the happier of the two managers almost certainly would be Nistrup, given what he's seen from his side so far. If they want to try and get through to the knockout stage, something they so seldom do. 2010, 2011 was the last season they managed it. They will need some wins, but a draw at Old Trafford would still do them the world of good, you would suspect. They're now going to try a direct ball going forward towards Le Rage, but cut out in the end by Reguilon. They've tried different aspects going forward as well of Copenhagen. I'd say they started with the press and then the counter. A little bit of possession from them there, but it just didn't work out in the end.
It didn't work out, but you mentioned about Nistrup being the happier of the team. If you'd have said to him that after 35 minutes his keeper's going to have to save one tame effort on target, he would have taken that all day long without even worrying about the other factors in the match. He would have said, well, our team's obviously doing something right to restrict United. But okay, they come now down the left with the ball in. Oh, and it's a ball in from Reguilon onto the head of McTominay, but he was almost up a little bit too early for that one, and he heads it wide.
Yeah, I don't think he really timed his jump well. Brought his man down, but in the end, regardless, the shot did go wide of the mark. As you say, Grabara, he's only been tested once, and it wasn't even that much of a test. It was a scuffed effort from Marcus Rashford from about 25 yards, an easy one to claim for the Copenhagen number one, Kamil Grabara, the Polish international. And he didn't have to be all too worried about that one. Just seen another replay of it now. He gets plenty of height on it, does McTominay. He's got Dix for company and gets ahead of his man. As we said, rich vein of goal-scoring form for the Scotsman, but got his bearings a bit wrong there. He now loses out in a 50-50 with Klaassen, who can find a Shuri on this near flank. Crossing opportunity for him, but he goes back towards Le Rage, now towards the edge of the 18-yard box for Goncalves. Tries to flick it towards Ankerson, who made a run from deep. Rashford is back there to defend. He was one of the furthest United players back in that particular defending scenario. Vavro is going to try and swing a ball, and there was no one in the area for Copenhagen, so Dalla will comfortably roll it back towards Onana, who wants to get things going quickly towards Anthony, maybe one of the smallest players on the pitch. He's not going to win that aerial duel against Yellert. We're now just seeing again Jakob Nistrup coming back into his technical area.
I think he was furious about the fact that his side didn't get a throw there. He was convinced that should have been a throw to his team. But overall, I think, he will be pleased with the way this game is going. I think that from Erik ten Hag's point of view, he would say that his side potentially have weathered that little bit of an early storm from Copenhagen. But now what will be worrying him is that despite United having the lion's share of possession, they just can't break the visitors down.
Yeah, 54% compared to Copenhagen's 46% as it stands. And really, even if you're looking beyond the statistics and just the balance of play, this game really could go either way. Maybe as the minutes do tick by, United will have to turn on the tap a bit more. Maybe the 15-minute interval is what Erik ten Hag desperately needs. He needs something more from his players. He really does in all departments, maybe more of the attacking sense. Now with Amrabat, who tries to get around Goncalves. Heavy touch, though, from the Moroccan, so it's an easy one to claim for Rasmus Falk. He's gone down a bit of a blind alley there now as Amrabat sends him towards his own corner flag. Does well, though, to pass it towards Yellert, so Amrabat needs to get back into position. There's some space now for Le Rage in midfield to get the ball to the right flank for Ankerson, under pressure from Marcus Rashford. Can he get around the United number 10? He can. Rashford has to be careful not to trip up the Copenhagen right back. Further infield is Ashuri, lays it off to Goncalves. The 1-2 between both the number 9 and number 30 of Copenhagen. Some good work from the visitors to get forward. It has been a really strong area of their game, it has to be said, but outside of their shot that hit the upright in the early stages, they haven't really tested Onana either. I mean, the only save he's had to make was a good few yards wide of the mark, I have to say. Yeah,
he palmed the shot wide that didn't need to be saved, and the effort that hit the post, he didn't actually get his hand to it. But here they come again now, the visitors. Great work here from Achuri.
Yeah, fantastic work from Achuri, who gets the shot away, trying to test Onana, who we just said isn't being tested enough, perhaps, and neither keeper is. In truth, that one was maybe a yard or two wide, similar to the one in the early stages of the game, but this time Onana knows that he doesn't need to make the save.
He does, and Onana actually tucks his arms in as he makes that dive, knowing that he's going wide. Didn't stop Achuri just as a sort of force of habit, asking for a corner kick anyway. I think players do that whenever there's a bit of a scuffed effort or a low shot, just in case the referee might be convinced that there was some sort of deflection. But there clearly wasn't on that occasion. United playing out from the back, but Copenhagen have left 4 players up, and straight away they force Dalot into putting the ball out for a throw. It will be a throw to United, but Copenhagen are making it difficult here for the home side.
Yeah, Elias Achuri was the one to just block that pass down the line, and he was the one to have the strike at goal, the 24-year-old French-born Tunisian, who's been a real live wire in Copenhagen's attack. I have to say one of the players on the bench is a real live wire for Copenhagen. Rooney Bargi, one of the youngsters there. A bit of a revelation, really a one to watch in the future. They've always been a club to develop some young talent. Rasmus Hojlund being another one of those, of course. He was originally at the Copenhagen side before making some career changes in Austria to Sturm Graz, Italy to Atalanta, and then the big money move to the Premier League for Manchester United. Rafa Varane now with the ball inside his own half, looks long for Sergio Reguilon, who just about keeps it in play but can't find a teammate. It's thumped into the Manchester air by Ankersen, nearly won by Klaassen, but the frame of Harry Maguire can win that one. But again, it's just no one's really alert to the potential from United. It's a long header that could have been won by Rashford, but he's in an offside position. Now he's trying to press though on the defence, to his credit. Vavro is under some pressure, and that's all it takes right there, Paul, because it wasn't much needed. Rashford was the one that gave up on the header from Maguire. He then gets back on side, tries to press the defence, and it's now cleared out for a throw-in.
Well, and straight away you see the blame game. Vavro turning to his right back, then he turned and it looks like he gave daggers to his keeper there as well. Why didn't I get a shout? But it was a terrible hoof from Vavro, in fairness. He wasn't forced into playing that as high and as hard as he did. But United, despite having that throw on relatively close to Copenhagen's box, 3 passes later, they're back on the halfway line. Yeah,
they opted to go back, United, when maybe it was easier to go forward. You're looking at the frustration in the stands of Old Trafford there as Onana looks long. It's the side of the game he's maybe most credited for is his control and his passing ability, but that was so way off in the end. There was no United player near it. It's just such a waste, and there's plenty of shaking heads.
Well, there is. I mean, they say United had a throw on level with the edge of the box. They took a throw, went back towards Onana on the halfway line, and then he hoists a long ball out, and it just goes out for a throw to Copenhagen. And now they've cleared it up to the halfway line, and they're now in possession. So United have given the ball away for free there, and it's just I suppose it sums up really how United's game just hasn't really worked so far this evening.
It's been a really frustrating performance in the opening 40 minutes. Now it's with Goncalves. Good opportunity as he breaches the final third of United. Sure, he wants to get beyond Sophie and Amrabat, but the number 4 of United does well to dispossess him. I think the throw-in has still gone the way of Copenhagen, despite some half appeals from the United defence. A lacklustre performance so far. I suppose one of the positives is that they're still goalless. They do remain. Do have a good record against Danish opponents at home. 3 wins and 1 draw, unbeaten for that regard against teams from Denmark, and that remains intact as it stands. But it won't take much for the visitors to try and get something going forward. Could it be now with Rasmus Falk playing out wide towards Ankersen? His cross is blocked by the first man, but they are finding the spaces in the final third between the midfield and defence of Erik ten Hag's men. Bruno Fernandes looking frustrated there as well. The throw-in is taken back towards the Copenhagen defence, with Dixon now towards Vavro. Hojlund is trying to apply some pressure. That is one of the ways that there's been a bit of a panic amongst the Copenhagen defence. It's played long though towards Lerege, the furthest upfield, the central midfielder. He timed his run well to stay on side. He lays it towards Ankersen. Deep ball from him. Great first touch from Ashurio. Was it in the end? It was a heavy one. It looked he brought it into his stride brilliantly. Seemed to con the United defence almost as he went wide rather than cutting inside. But I thought he was quite unlucky there in the end.
Well, the way he took it, that ball down from a height was superb, but it just had a little bit of the rotation, a little bit of spin on the ball, and it just got away from him. He was very close to the line already and wasn't quite able to keep it in play. But again, it's just a slight little peak now for Copenhagen again, and it's down to whether or not United can actually try and weather that and get forward again. We've only got a couple of minutes before half-time.
Well, I just mentioned United's decent record against Danish opposition. As for Copenhagen, when they play English sides, it really has been a torrid time. They've only won 1 of their 13 such head-to-heads, 5 draws from that and 7 defeats. But they really have had a cracking first 45 performance, I have to say. The long ball now towards El Yunusi. He tries to win the 50-50 on Reguilon. Reguilon goes down, and 99% of the time you'd be winning a foul for that as he's facing his own goal, as he looked to have been tripped over by El Yunusi. But to the linesman's credit, refreshing almost, Paul, because you don't see this often at all. He's given a throw-in for Copenhagen. Immediately El Yunusi puts his hand up to say, I didn't touch him. But so often you see defenders get a free kick, but this time Reguilon hasn't.
No, he hasn't, and so you can see El Yunusi still talking to Reguilon. I think he was quite happy just to walk away, then he knew that he'd been found out. Throw-on's taken is right in the corner, and Copenhagen still have a chance.
Yeah, great ball towards El Yunusi. Lost it to the edge of the area. It will come towards Goncalves. Shot deflects and goes out for a corner. The number 9 has already hit the post this evening and looks a threat from distance. It's McTominay getting back. As I said, he's a former striker, but always pushed back through the years, and now he has to try and get his defensive duties right, and he does there as he throws his body at the strike on the edge of the D. It's gone for a corner. Copenhagen have had quite a few this evening towards the Stretford end. Can they make this one count? 44th minute of the first half. Diogo Goncalves whips it towards the 6-yard area, cleared out by Raphael Varane, and it needed to be. And Klaassen, will he keep this in? He will. Maybe they'll try and get another ball in. Now it's a poor ball towards Ankerson. I don't think he was ready for that one. And now United can try and get a counter going forward. Will it reach Rashford? It won't. It was just caught in the Old Trafford turf. I don't think there was any defenders back there for Copenhagen. Reguilon, just not enough power on the pass. That was an avenue where they could have maybe got a late goal in the first half, but that's only going to add to the frustration even more.
Oh, it will do, but it's a good challenge from Vavra, but really he shouldn't have had the chance to even cut that ball out in the first place. They should have carried on there for Manchester United. We're into the last minute before we hit injury time. I can't imagine there'll be more than a minute or two at the end of this first half, but here is Dalot up towards McTominay.
Yeah, 1-2, and once again the Portuguese and Scotsman combining. It's towards Fernandes. His pass is intercepted though by Goncalves. Ashuri wants to try and win this one, and he does, and then he hounds down and charges Raphael Varane, closes the angle, but it'll go out for a Manchester United throw-in. I think you're right, there really haven't been too many stoppages in this game, and whilst there haven't been many chances for the both teams combined, the game has flowed. The referee, what's he given here? I think maybe there was an offside in the build-up. Only a few seconds before we do find out there's going to be any minutes added on. No, he's given a good 15 seconds before the 45. Well, you just said, Paul, that there wasn't going to be many minutes added on. He's actually subtracted 15 seconds off the 45, but for United it's been a really frustrating first half. Copenhagen have arguably been the better side on the balance of play, but we do arrive half-time at Old Trafford. Man United 0, Copenhagen 0.